And you think to yourself, no, I'm criticizing you, the white liberal. Racist! It's hilarious. But it's their first and last defense, hiding behind other people of other ethnicities to push through their preferred policies. And on no subject is this more obvious than on immigration. For years now, journalists have told us that Hispanic voters, not that they've met any, love open borders. And if you don't, you're a racist. So all of a sudden, there's some cognitive dissonance going on because Hispanic voters actually don't seem to love open borders. And that's why in overwhelmingly Hispanic districts, you're seeing Republicans getting elected who are promising to enforce immigration law. So the New York Times is extremely upset about this. They're trying to figure out what exactly happened. These voters aren't as obedient as we thought they would be. They don't have the same attitudes that we do here in Williamsburg. Like, what the hell? And so they found a scapegoat. They just published an article with the headline, quote, "The Rise of the Far-Right Latina." Far-Right Latina, well, that's our kind of guest. One of those that they referred to is Cassy Garcia, who's running for Congress in Texas, and we are grateful that she's joining us tonight. Cassy Garcia, I don't know what a far-right Latina is, but I'm glad. It's a badge of honor. The New York Times doesn't like you, and we are very happy to have you. So now they're attacking you because you don't have their views? Is that what's happening?
Well, Tucker, thank you for having me on tonight. It's just absolutely ridiculous. The fact that the liberal media would call me a far-right Latina because I grew up in a conservative household on the border and I went to church is just absolutely ridiculous. Yet they praise AOC and the squad. Let me tell you, they don't represent our values in South Texas. And the reason why I am running for Congress is to defend faith, family, and freedom. District 28 has been in Democrat control for 110 years, and the current incumbent, Henry Cuellar, who says all the right things, has done absolutely nothing to secure our southern border. In fact, I have received the endorsement for the National Border Patrol Council, who's always endorsed Henry Cuellar, but they've endorsed me in this race for Congressional District 28.
I just think it's a little bit, I mean, do you think it's weird that some, white liberal from the Upper West Side who went to Brown and sends his kids to Riverdale Country School gets to speak for Hispanic voters on the Mexican border in Texas? Like, where do they get the right to decide what you're allowed to believe?
What I'm representing the families and the communities of District 28, and they don't speak for me, the New York Times. The Democrat Party has left the Hispanic community, and in the Hispanic community, we care about a strong and secure border. We don't want open borders at all, and that's what the Democrat Party believes in, and we don't believe in that. We believe in sovereign borders, and so that's why we're going to see more Democrats vote Republican come this November. We're going to see more Democrats walk away.
Yeah. I mean, you're obviously an American, but I think even immigrants who just got here of any background don't want open borders. Why would you want to come to a country that's not really a country? Of course. Duh. Cassy Garcia, we are glad to meet you, so thank you for coming on. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it turns out Joe Biden is selling maybe the single most valuable resource the American people own, and that's our energy. Taking oil from our strategic petroleum reserve and selling it to China. That and the war in Ukraine are pushing the world's food supply to near collapse. It's shocking what's happening. There's famine going on in Africa caused by all of this. So what's the media focused on? Are they writing that story? No! New testimony from January 6th. Watch.
Explosive week for the January 6th committee, from the damning new allegations, shocking new details surrounding that fateful day on January 6th.
Fifth hearing of the January 6th committee, we heard shocking testimony.
This latest January 6th story came as a shock.
The shocking testimony out of the surprise January 6th hearing.
Such disturbing, shocking is not too strong a word.
It's shocking, right?
Shockwaves back in the United States after yesterday's January 6th hearing.
With this new January 6th evidence that really is sending out shockwaves.
Breaking news about the January 6th investigation is that the shocking testimony.
Yeah, it was an insurrection. No, it wasn't. You're lying. Be quiet. Nobody cares. They're talking to themselves. This, at the very moment, we have food shortages in the United States of America. So nobody's watching this. During the January 6th committee hearings in mid-June, CNN recorded its worst ratings week since November of 2015. And polls confirm why. Nobody in America cares. We have massive problems, mostly economic problems, that are being completely ignored by the media. Kind of weird, maybe because they're not touched by those problems. According to Rasmussen, top voter issues are gas prices, inflation, the economy, and violent crime. Batya Ungar-Sargon is the deputy opinion editor at Newsweek, and she joins us tonight. Batya, thanks so much for coming on. So there should be, if you care about democracy or say you do, and you're in the media, you should at least try to illuminate the issues that the people of your country care about. Why not look at a poll once in a while and cover that? But they don't. Why?
So thank you so much for having me, Tucker, and thank you so much for leading the show with Jose Alba's very distressing story. It's so important, and you always get to the most important story of the day. Yesterday was another example of that. You know, you're totally right. When you ask Americans in poll after poll, what are you most concerned about? They say the same four things over and over and over. The price of gas, the price of food and inflation, violent crime, and jobs. Now, this is not surprising. 2/3 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. But when you ask journalists what are their top concerns, they say climate change, the war in Ukraine, January 6th, misinformation, right? There is zero overlap there. Why is that? I mean, it looks like it's a story about politics, but as you cover every night on your show, Tucker, that is a story about class. There is an enormous class divide in this country, and one class has the luxury to sit around obsessing over misinformation, and the other class is sitting at home wondering whether they should put their money towards putting meat on the table or gas in their car because they don't have enough money for both.
Historically, societies that have a divide this vast between the people running everything and everybody else in their attitudes and their economic positions, those societies become very and dangerously unstable. Are you worried about that?
I'm not, because I have a lot of faith in the American people. I mean, polarization is a totally elite phenomenon, and Americans just don't buy it. And the sad thing is it would be bad enough if journalists were just ignoring violent crime. We're just ignoring the fact that regular Americans can't afford meat, but it's worse than that. They create a taboo around talking about these issues. If you say, I am not okay with prosecutors siding with violent criminals against their victims, they call you racist. If you say, I am not okay with the fact that 1 in 5 American small businesses was decimated by these lockdowns, they call you a grandma killer. They have misunderstood their economic privilege as virtue, and that is unforgivable.
That is so nice. They've misunderstood their economic privilege as virtue. If I had tattoos, that would be one of them. Batya, great to see you tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tucker.
You may have heard of the Georgia Guidestone, sometimes called America's Stonehenge. Suddenly they're not there anymore. Why is that? We'll tell you next.